What up, y'all? This is Alec Dixon from SC Laboratories, and welcome to The Scoop. Today is all about cannabis and hemp-infused beverages, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Jeff Dingman. Jeff's been so pivotal in helping so many brewers overcome their hurdles and really nail their formulations, and he's been given the nickname the Heisenberg of cannabis and hemp beverages.
The low-dose beverage refers basically to the potency within the product itself. Typically, there's 5 milligrams or less of active cannabinoids within each serving or each can. They're infused with in a little bit of a different way using an emulsion technology. And with these emulsions, typically the body absorbs them a little bit quicker. And so you get a more predictable experience, a faster experience. In general, you're seeing a decrease in consumption of alcohol. And so these are a great alternative. You can be social, you can drink them, you don't get the hangover, but you still get a little bit of that buzz and that social interaction. Hemp-derived delta-9 THC is basically referring to delta-9 THC that is chemically converted from CBD. This rise in hemp-derived delta-9 THC has also resulted in beverages and other delta-9 products being more widely available outside of traditional cannabis spaces. Because it's derived from CBD and converted, it makes it a cheap alternative while having more or less the same effect. This also allows for the product to remain Farm Bill compliant, and that allows it to be sold over state lines.
It comes down to the definition of hemp, which is a federal definition. Anything below 0.3% delta-9 THC is technically, under the Farm Bill, considered quote unquote hemp. It's either coming from the root of, like Jeff was just describing, converted CBD into delta-9, or from extracted from the cannabis plant itself.
Emulsions are sort of the process and the carrier that's able to get the cannabis oils into water and make them, somewhat soluble or evenly dispersed in water. One of the benefits of this is that faster absorption. And so that's why these beverages tend to, kick in to 30 minutes versus that traditional edible 60 to 90 minutes. The emulsifiers act in a way to sort of encapsulate that oil to make it more easily dispersed within the water, so that from a manufacturing standpoint, from the first can off the line to the last can off the line, be confident that the concentration is going to be the same. And then for the consumer, that first sip and last sip are going to have that same concentration of cannabinoids. And you don't have that, sort of oil on top and the rest of it just sitting on the bottom. When it comes to emulsion providers, I've been in a fortunate situation where I've gotten to work with probably the leaders in the industry, testing and quality products. There's definitely a handful that come to mind. Lazarus Naturals and their Cycling Frog line. Vertosa is one of the largest and has exceptional resources on their website. And then when you come to the Minnesota market, which is one of the largest, Superior Molecular and Northern Diversified, hands down, hold down that market. Out of Texas, Bayou City Hemp, one of our great partners and really large producer. And then in California, both on the hemp and cannabis side, would be Smart CBD Solutions and Green Rush Alliance, Space Station, who works with a lot of the cannabis brands and I believe as well as some of the hemp brands. This is definitely an area and a conversation that I have, again, with emulsion providers and brewers alike. Part of it is ensuring that the emulsions and the product is staying homogeneous in these large batches that can exceed, in some cases, thousands of gallons. And then in addition to that, when you get to the testing end of things, you're taking a very, very small amount for the testing at a very, very low concentration, and then taking that value over a really large volume. So any variance from the manufacturing end, the input end, all the way through to the testing, when you start to extrapolate that data, you can really get far and away from expectations. On top of that, you have things like oxidation, flavor interactions, and then just process differences, from brewer to brewer, from flavor to flavor, that all impact the emulsions and ultimately the samples that we get for testing. Obviously, these are expensive products to manufacture because you're adding, that cannabis or hemp extract, and testing costs can definitely get up. And so, you see a lot of brewers that, are hesitant or a little bit gun shy when it comes to pricing and the cost of testing. They will cut corners sometimes, only sending in one can, not going through that process validation of, first, middle, last can on a run to see if their process is even homogeneous or if there's drift. And that can be really detrimental to their business. If you don't validate that process and see that, everything is running as expected or dosed as expected from first can to last can, and those cans hit the shelves and a consumer advocacy, group comes along, they pull some of your product off the shelf. If it misses that label claim, all of a sudden you're in a recall situation. And, we're seeing that time and time again, where brewers are trying to save money on testing. And in the long run, it ends up costing them with a recall. Probably one of the most important aspects of getting into this space, as a brewer, is to build the right strategic partnerships right from the beginning. Before they even get their first batch going, I like to set up some time to discuss both who they're using as an emulsion provider, what process are they going to be using to manufacture, how big are their batches, and then from there we can sort of look at some of the common pitfalls that all brewers and all emulsion providers run into. And so having that partnership right from the beginning allows for quicker turnaround time. At SC Labs, we have a unique approach with our low dose preparation method where we can offer same day potency results for those brewers and then couple that with conditional testing. So they get that potency immediately. They can make any adjustments that might need to be made to the batch, and they can go right into canning. And part of that has to do with, again, those early relationships, process validation, looking at their product, their process, and kind of eliminating, some of those crucial areas where a lot of, companies fall or run into issues initially. The beverage space has just been exploding. Over the last year, I went from probably working with less than a dozen brewers to, more than 70 brewers actively. You're also starting to see a lot of big brands show interest in it. The Delta 9 CBD has opened up a market for larger companies, even larger national brewers, not just micro brewers, that are looking at this space and looking to it as an alternative revenue source. As people are being introduced to these products, they're a great way for someone that hasn't been consuming cannabis to get into consuming cannabis. And that has to do with the very low doses, the precision dosing, and the fact that it's predictable. The more I get to work with the brewers and sort of introduce new people to the cannabis space, it's really exciting. A lot of these guys have been, are brew masters, and they're producing incredible products. Honestly, the fact that, that some of these beverages at these concentrations hit label claim as often as they do, it speaks volumes to the care that the brewers are taking, the emulsion providers, and then as a lab, our precision and accuracy of testing and repeatability. And so, those partnerships are just really exciting, and I've actually made some really good friends, out of it, and looking forward to checking out some of these breweries down the line.
Overall, this has been a very enlightening and educating conversation, and I just want to salute you, Jeff, for all the work that you put in this world of cannabis and hemp-infused beverages, and just thank you very much for your time today.
Alec, yeah, thank you for having me as part of the beverage discussion here today. I look forward to your episodes of The Scoop always, and definitely excited to be part of it, and for you inviting me on and having me be part of that with you.